History goes on. I would like to start with the Russian Ukrainian conflict and getting back onto these strong words of President Volodymyr Zelensky that will, trust me, mark history forever. Without gas or without you, without you. Without light or without you, without you. Without water or without you, without you. Without food or without you, without you. Cold, starvation, darkness, and thirst are not as threatening and mortal to us as your friendship and fraternity. In the context of the war, I am into diplomacy. This is not something that I will target towards the Russians nor the Ukrainians. I'm here for reaching the ceasefire between both countries, and I will get back onto that into a minute. But the words that President Zelensky has used reflect the situation of so many people, and the words and the question, the way they have been put, just basically are into the reality of so many people. I'll get back onto that much later. To come back to this, I stand, of course, with the fact that the solidarity is very important with Ukraine within the fall and winter that are upcoming, and it's very important to rely on emergency management in this context of action, and I have been speaking about this before. The election to correct of Ukraine on March 31st and not 23rd, as I said before, of 2024, is to me secondary as long as we come to the territorial integrity of Ukraine as the main topic and the main challenge for the country right now. So we can get further with Zelensky as far as we get back to the important discussion that I have been having regarding the territorial integrity of the country. I don't want to come back to invoke the history of Ukraine from the days of the great princes of Kiev, and also the days of the Cossacks, coming from there to the integration within the empire under Catherine II, and the existence of a Ukrainian SSR under USSR. And I've been speaking much about the history of Ukraine and its government in exile, as well as its government of the Ukrainian SSR throughout past videos. We have to correct something regarding this propaganda picture that they showed with the Ukrainian flag and the Nazi flag. It was indeed a soccer game that was organized in occupied Kiev during World War II by the Nazi regime, and that have involved soccer players from the Nazis and of Ukraine as well, playing against each other. So it had nothing to do with the Nazi propaganda in Ukraine. Again, this is a full stop regarding this topic because it was just a comment regarding this picture that have made a lot of disambiguation. We'll catch up as well with many people of the authority of Ukraine, including Kirill Budanov, regarding all the issue that is ongoing on the front in the eastern part of the country, as well as in Crimea and the Black Sea at large. Now, if I want to move to Russia, I will speak about the importance of the endeavor of the summit between President Putin and President Xi, as well as the one that President Putin might have with Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un in Pyongyang soon enough. And focusing, before speaking about that, I will get back to it in 2 minutes, on to the domestic situation in Russia. I'm catching up with the Security Council of Russia. I'm not speaking regarding several matters that could involve Medvedev or otherwise, but I'm not gonna speak like Prigozhin. I will tell you straight, like you have heard before in videos, regarding the several contexts of action, business and governance, and we're gonna speak about that with the Security Council of Russia as we did before, from the perspective of the Kremlin, of course, as well as from the perspective of the Duma. So looking forward here to talk furthermore. No disclosure of the military situation, only with the steering committee that involves not only Russia and Ukraine, but I will get back here to speak about the several endeavors that we could speak about with the Bilderberg Group, President Putin, President Xi, and the Eastern Bloc at large regarding how we can build this new world. The consequences of the COVID 19 pandemic era are here. Uh, Speaking of an existing world in crisis and the fact that it will take years to fix it, denial of the fact that these things have never happened in the history of humanity before, with the weight and the pressure of the consequences that it could lead to. We have to accept that fact. You have also to accept when you see mentalities that there are a lot of people that will say, I'd rather be on World War III, I'd rather be on civil wars than coming back to the pre-COVID world. That's how bad it is. The fact that it has been a total rupture that was hidden by a thin line, like I said, during the 2000s, and furthermore during the 2010s, it just has exploded during the 2020s. Like I said, not accepting this fact is going to lead humanity to further and further suffering. Other issues that represent powder kegs today in the world do not just center within the conflicts between Russia and Ukraine. We have the situation around northeastern Asia, of the People's Republic of China vis-à-vis Chinese Taipei, the tension that is ongoing from one side with Japan and the Republic of Korea, and with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea on the other side, the pressure between the People's Republic of China and India, and the one between India and Pakistan as well regarding Kashmir and other matters. Of course, the conflict that is exploding between Azerbaijan and Armenia, the tension that is existing again in the Balkans between Serbia and Kosovo could be added. Of course, there are other conflicts that involve two or more countries, as well as internal domestic conflicts, armed were they or not. Add to that the socio-economic chaos that was caused unprecedentedly by the violence of the pandemic. So this is, to state the least. You know that the agony and the anger is bigger than that. Of course, a video of 10 to 20 minutes or even more cannot basically summarize all the frustration that is behind this. But you will get the picture as well through the posts on X, as well as the others made on the Meta websites, such as Instagram, Threads, for example, on Truth Social from the US perspective. Also, other website that I could be on that I haven't joined yet, but like TikTok, like Telegram, as well as Mastodon, etc. We'll get back onto that later. Technology is a support. So the main line is the ideas, and we are deliberating them right now. Talking about these issues of getting back to the tradition of empires could also be faced by the one of Balkanization. I mean, if you speak to me about a revival of the Russian Empire through the perspective of the Russian Federation, or the one of the Ottoman Empire through the perspective of Turkey, those are just academic topics to me, because you can see it the other way around with further Balkanization. If we look at Russia itself, with the domestic things that I want to collaborate and work with President Putin, as I said before, regarding several republics. An example, just speaking about Chechnya, Dagestan, other examples all across the country, Kalmykia. So all these things are to be discussed. What is important is the national unity. The trend of thinking that it's going to be empires, or the one of could be faced with the one that will say we will have in contrast more balkanization. It's a situation that the world has reached within the socio-economic chaos, and it has been amplified big time by the COVID-19 pandemic and the repercussion that it has created for history, forever, for mankind's history. I mean, if we get off of this, like I said, it's going to be already a big achievement in our history, not just the one of the 21st century, but the one of the third millennium at large, if not of all humanity, given the catastrophic consequences that could be led through the nuclear capability right now. Universalism will prevail, like I said. As I mentioned before, there is an importance of having some international organization. I have been speaking about that, such as the IOC and FIFA and other sports federation and cultural federation for sports and culture. And also I add to this the Nobel Prize, which is something that is very important for mankind. There is still a very straight collaboration with the IAEA from a technical perspective, given all the situation that is ongoing in Ukraine. But just from the perspective of technicalities and technical advancement when it comes to that, the majority of the work regarding that, and as I have mentioned before, will go further with nation states in this context of action. It's like when I described the presence of France, in example, in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, with a small antenna for business people, and it's not really like the diplomatic representation that the UK, in example, or Sweden have in Pyongyang, in example. From the perspective of other issues, like I said, that will be discussed with several parties from the steering committee, going from the Bilderberg Group, like I say, to the endeavors that are brought by the Eastern Bloc. Like I said, looking forward here to important meeting for the advancement of the new world between President Putin and President Xi, as well as in Pyongyang this time between President Putin and Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un. I want to also invoke other things that have been heightened and escalating within the year 2023. This is concerning migration that is caused itself by extreme poverty. Everything is a domino effect. No need to go in further details in the video, but you will see that on the regular posts on social media on a daily basis, which basically puts oils on fire on the socio-economic chaos. We add to that the food crisis that is amplifying throughout many impoverished areas in the world. Of course, we come to climate change, to just to remind the natural catastrophes that we have been seeing lately, like the floods in the United States and Libya. Libya, a country that we need a lot of help when it comes to the winter as well. Add to that other catastrophes that are natural, caused by climate change, such as fires. And all this comes back after, for example, in the United States, in the Northeast, the flood comes right after record heat temperature throughout the summer of 2023. So just to show you the state of failure that the world has reached and why we are working furthermore to better up the guidelines of the new world. Working with Morocco as well regarding the emergency management post-earthquake. The kingdom have experienced a violent earthquake in the Atlas Mountain and the House region. If the earthquake of Agadir had more casualties because it was a city that was being populated in 1960, the magnitude of this 2023 earthquake, 7.5, is way more violent than the one of Agadir that was a magnitude 6. So here also a lot of work in Morocco throughout the 2023-2024 cycle. I have invoked the cycles before the other day in Colombia because we try always to have an extrapolated forecast for how can we move further towards the next three cycles, 23, 24, 24, 25 and 25, 26. We don't have a big picture of the last one, of course, the latter, but working onto several things now that the pandemic has basically lowered, but it's still a big concern, and all these topics that I have been mentioning, and of course on top of it is avoiding World War III, which is basically between quotes, unfortunately, at the doorsteps of so many minds right now, unfortunately. So we're getting back on this, and at the level of the United States, like I said, the priority is to governance in the matters of counterterrorism, such as the counterterrorism also concern the universal guidelines and the roadmap. Of course, in terms of elections, and I have opinions, we will keep building up the idea of direct democracy that I have been discussing with Elon Musk at several occasions these last 2 years, but it is a project that will take a lot of time, even if we didn't have the predicaments of the COVID-19 pandemic or the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. And here also, if we see it as a national scale, there is an importance of avoiding any tension that could lead to pressure and the worst case scenario, the civil war. So if you look at the screen of World War III in the world, and there is also a possibility of something domestic here as a civil war, which is something that is also a challenge to avoid. So very important to get back to this guidelines and objectives of direct democracy. It gets back to the 2024 cycle. Why not with Donald Trump leading an introductory process to this idea and making it grow furthermore. Like I said, it's gonna take a long time, but the 2024 to 2028 could be a first step for that. And all of them are micro steps, like I said, 2024, 2028, because it's a long-term work to change the roots and things that are not working straight. This concerns also, of course, states and local elections throughout the country.